to today's miniature demo. All right, so today I want to create something miniature with you guys. I love everything tiny. It makes me so happy.
Oh,
so, something that I have all over the shop here are the little fairy doors. I don't know that you know that, Gretchen, but there are actually 9 hidden fairy doors here in the shop, which is super fun. And so one of the things I'm just going to start out with here, although we're doing miniatures, I am actually going to use the die cut for just a moment, because whenever I get out the new Altoid tin, there's all of this print on here, right? And it's like, how do you cover that up? Do you use clay? There is actually a die cut, if you can believe it,
that they've made for that purpose.
that they've made for that exact purpose. Now, if you don't do a lot of things with Altoid tins, you may never need this, but I thought it was perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and just cut those out. So, Gretchen, have you used a home die cut machine, or do you know what this is?
I've only used one here.
Yeah, yeah, from class.
And
Yes. The other shop where you used Oh,
to
it's
work.
Stamp-A-Doodle.
Yes,
Yeah,
Stamp-A-Doodle, thank you.
So the idea with this is a very similar idea. Die cuts are usually flat on one side, and on the other side there's something that's kind of bumpy. This is a really basic frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bumpy side on the paper. The bumpy side is the blade. So that goes down. This is a layering plate that goes on top. And we're just going to roll that through. And the pressure system of doing that, even though you think that it wouldn't cut, surprisingly will cut out your shape perfectly. Yeah, which is just makes it really easy and really quick and convenient for doing cuts. Now, this is a really basic shape, but they make very intricate ones with there's like a fairy holding a wand, and you can see all the layers of her skirt and her individual hairs. I mean, they get really involved with the die cuts. So I'm going to cut out 4 of them. So I have one for the top and the back, and then one for each side, because of course you can see the embossed name on the other side. Okay. So now, of course, I could lay this on a piece of paper, trace it, and cut it out, but this just saves so much time.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And it's perfect, exactly. Now I don't have to worry about it. So we are today going to build a little fairy door together, because there's so many miniature things involved in putting a door together. And so I'm going to do some different kinds of concepts than what I've done in the past. Okay. All right, and I'll put this back together here. The rest of my frames, and we'll come back to that later. All right, and then my trusty hot glue gun. I've already plugged this in because I knew I was going to need it a lot, because that's the kind of person that I am. I almost always have my hot glue gun plugged in at home, and then in the morning I leave and I unplug it, and then I get back home and I turn my power strip on and it's already plugged in, which again seems crazy, but it's just what I do. So this one's just going to have a little frame around the outside, but that's not a problem. Dropping hot glue. Oh, you don't need to drop that one. I'll do that.
Yeah, you can move faster than I.
Yeah, and it's just right there, not a problem. Look, it got lots of hot glue gun. Hot glue gun sticks. All right, and then because I want this to look a little bit more distressed looking, I'm going to use my sponge here. And this is with Walnut Stain, which is a dye-based ink pad. And I'm going to use my sponge here and just pick up some color off of the ink pad. I'm just going to brush this along the sides here. This is called inking it. It kind of makes it look a little bit more distressed. So it's a really great technique if you want to make something look kind of old. And so because for the inside of my doors, I want it to look like a little apothecary, or, you know, something that's maybe like been well used. And so we're going to put that on the inside. And this is going to be the second one. Okay. Then we're going to open that up, and I'm going to go ahead and just glue these down. We'll do one here.
I wonder if that fits.
I know, it fits so perfectly. Now on the outside, it doesn't go all the way to the very edge because there is a little bit of a frame.
Yes.
But for the inside, it just fits so perfectly that I really cannot complain. I mean, it's just perfect. Just absolutely love that. Okay, so now, actually, because of the way that I'm doing this door on the outside, I'm actually going to do this as well. So I played around with this concept last night because I hadn't done this before. So I have this large spool of twine. I sell this stuff by the yard as well. And so this is very, very weird, but this is how I did it. So I'm just going to share this with you. All right, so I'm gonna take my hands and I wanna have my fingers, if I had 2 more fingers, I would put them next to each other, but I'm gonna spread these out a little bit so it's the same height as my door, which I know doesn't really make a whole lot of sense at the moment, but you're gonna see why in just a second. So I've wrapped this. Now I'm gonna take my hot glue here and put it all the way across. And then I'm gonna take this, because I'm trying to create like a faux wood grain.
Oh, yes.
And so luckily, amazingly, this has that same kind of idea, which again, is just the very, very basic. It's not like anything fancy. And then I'll go in here and I'm just gonna glue some of those down. And so we want everything to be kind of nice and flat. Now, if you have another way to make miniature fairy doors is if you have popsicle sticks work great. Wood grain paper that already exists, you can cut out to be fairy door shape. And that would be an easy way to go. I just wanted to create something that maybe you hadn't considered before. And so I also love that because of the way that this twine is, you can create knots in the wood by just kind of creating this kind of like a little grouping together. And I know it just seems so bizarre, but I'm going to show you the other one that I did so you can see exactly how that comes together. Because I played with this concept last night. It was like 10 p.m. and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a fairy door. And I was like, oh my gosh, and they just had so much fun. Oh my gosh. That's why there's so many of them here, is because I love making them so much. And so the first one I ever made was this one with this little bridge pulled down and there's like little stepping stones to walk into the door. It's so, so cute. And so I really wanted to create something that, yes, oh, you haven't seen the fairy doors yet?
Yes, I want to find them.
Oh my gosh, oh, they're so much fun, Linda. And chances are you probably have seen them around.
You did them at Stampede.
Yep, and you probably have seen them around the shop and didn't really recognize or realize that's what they were.
I think I did not see them.
Yep, so they're quite fun.
I didn't find them.
Yeah, well, if you're not really looking for them, they're kind of like a, oh, what is this? Oh, what's going on here kind of a thing. All right. Okay, this one again is not as clean as my one I did last night, but the other thing I realize is that when I'm creating miniatures, I tend to work like really slow and really take my time.
Yes.
But we're doing a demo, so I don't really have 3 hours to create little miniatures. So that's why what I was going to do is just basically show you the concepts and then show you the things I created. So then that way you understand how they were made, but we don't necessarily need to make every single little tiny piece today. Okay? All right. This right here is adhesive backed foil paper. So what I'm going to do here is I have this thick piece of chipboard here. So I'm going to cut out a couple pieces here with my paper cutter. Oh, thank you very much. All these tools. And I think this one, let's see here. So do about 1.5 inches. Oh. I need to make it a touch smaller. Make the piece even tinier than that. Alright, so whenever I make a door, I always want to include a little like lock and key situation. I have run out of my locking keys or my locks for my keys. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to stick the foil onto, this is very thin foil, onto my pieces of chipboard. Okay. Get this here down, and I'm going to use my scissors. So this makes it so then that way the foil is going to have a dimension to it because it's already so thin that it's not, I'm trying to control that, it's just going to be a bit of a pain. So this is a great way to get that foil piece, but it has more dimension to that. So it's a little bit easier to work with. So when I was playing with this concept last night, I was thinking, well, I want to make a lock I'm not really sure how to do that. So I was like, well, let's just make something with dimension. We can just make that work. And then I had a piece of black paper in here. And I just drew a little keyhole shape. I know it's really hard up there to see what I did here. I just drew a little keyhole shape.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to take my scissors here and just cut that out. And then since you can always usually see the pencil marks, no matter how much you try to erase them, it constantly happens. So after I get my shape cut out, I'm just going to flip that over so you can't even see the pencil marks. There we are. And I'm going to go ahead and just glue that directly onto the center of the smaller of the two rectangles. And then I'm going to glue this onto the top rectangle. And then I wanted it to make it look like it had been like bolted to the front of the door. So I took this hole punch, this small hole punch, and I'm not actually pressing in very hard. I'm just actually putting a little impression into it.
Oh, yes.
And so it kind of gives the idea of maybe like a rivet or something going into it. But again, I'm not actually pressing through. And so that's, again, just kind of adding that dimension and kind of creating that idea. Because when it comes to miniatures, it's all about kind of making people say, oh, that's obviously meant to look like, you know, that helping kind of trigger that memory or that idea. So of course I could poke holes and put actual brads in there, but that just sounds really time consuming.
And perhaps unnecessary.
Oh, and that poked all the way through. Yes, and perhaps unnecessary. Oh, where'd my tiny little piece go? Oh, that's okay. That's all right. Because that happened, might as well just poke all the rest. I didn't think it was going to be strong enough, but this hole punches. I'm just going to do the ones just on the outside since I had done the one on the outside. There we go. All right. Okay. And since that happened, I'm just going to back this with black because that just makes sense. If I hadn't poked it through, I wouldn't back it with black because there'd be no point to do that. But since that happened, we'll just roll with it, and that's a-okay. Sometimes things just change, and you don't think about it, but then it ends up working out perfectly.
You don't have to throw it away and start over.
That's right.
Improvise, as you said.
Yep. You know, sometimes the most creative things happen when you made a mistake and you think, okay, how can I fix this? And you end up coming up with some amazing ideas you maybe never even considered before. So I'm going to take my sponge again, and now I'm going to just rub this along the top here. And this is just going to kind of add just a little bit of some other color in here. Just slightly. Yep, just tone it. And in fact, because I want it to be even darker in some areas, I'm actually just going to rub this right along the top. And because this is a dye-based ink pad, that'll just dry on there, no problem. Okay. All right. Now, make sure my door is going to open up the right way. We'll glue on our look. So now that I've shown you how that is done, you can see that, I will show you the one that I did yesterday. So this one, again, a very similar idea. And so I made this one just a little bit smaller, but then you can at least kind of see that idea.
Different kind of box.
And a different kind of box, exactly. I'd actually started with a brown box. There was writing right on the front. It was driving me crazy. I was like, what am I going to do with this? And so I thought that just made sense.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, you can't open it up yet. That one you can open up, but there's secret things in here I'm getting to.
That one.
We'll get there. All right, so then on the inside, all right, this is where the fun starts to happen. So first thing I want to do is make some little shelves. So I think about the height of this and want to make sure that my door will still close all the way. So it's really important that we make it very skinny, make it very narrow. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and just cut this right in half, or roughly in half. Since it's not quite in half, I'm just going to go a little farther here. And then we're going to just find this direction, this dimension here. So I think that's about right. And we're going to just set that right in there. I'm like, okay, that sounds about right. So we don't want it to go so hard that you have to kind of push it this way, because we're going to be applying glue on the sides, and we want to be able to just set that right in. Whereas if we have it and it's hard, it's going to get in here and you get glue literally everywhere on all the sides of the little door there. So I'm going to put glue on my little shelf on the back and on the sides, so not on the front. And I'm just going to slide that right in. Make sure my doors are still closed. Oh, I made that just a tiny bit. Oh goodness, I made it just the slightest bit too wide. Oh my gosh, just ever so slightly. Well, I'm going to make sure to trim that other one down
Well,
before.
that's a good point. It'd be better to be a little short than
Yes.
a little tall.
Yes, exactly. Yep. There we go. Let me just tuck that right back in there. Make sure my shelf is straight so you don't have anything falling off of the shelf. All right. Wonderful. Yeah, that's chipboard. Yep. So it's a heavier weight, but it's also so that things can sit on the shelf and the shelf won't bow. Because that's something I've been making fairy doors for a long time, and that's something that I learned in the very early days.
Strength, you can't use paper.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Because if you use just plain paper, it'll just again bow,
Yep,
or it could possibly
won't last,
break.
won't hold.
I love directing little kids all the time to make little fairy doors, and I love the things that kids come up with. I've seen kids make little fairy doors into like little portals and things. But they're just the cute little shells, and you can stick whatever you want on there. And I've made fairy doors. We did a fairy apothecary. I made one where I took little rainbow colored sprinkles in a little vial, and I made a little bakery with a tiny little spoon and a little fork. I mean, and then you can take Cheerios and you can actually like glue on little sprinkles, and then you can have a little donut shop and make little donuts. There's so much you can do with it. It's so much fun, and they're so cute. So I just wanted to make sure that even though this is what I'm creating today, you can take that idea in whatever direction you would like. So, but the direction that I'm going in, I think you guys are gonna love. I'm very excited. All right, so I'm pulling out here a toothpick, and I'm going to get out, where's that foil? Here it is. I'm going to cut myself a very little narrow strip of my adhesive backed foil. And what's so nice about the adhesive backed foil is that it will just stick wherever you stick it, which is wonderful. And then I'm going to take a tiny little, so for those of you watching, this is just a tiny little half of a toothpick. I don't even know if it's a full half of a toothpick. It might even be a little less. I'm just going to put glue on the very, very tip of that. Okay, and so the little pointed end is at the top. And then I'm just going to literally take some of this twine and just stick it directly onto the end right there. Okay, we want to make sure it fully adheres. I'm just going to trim this so it's very, very tiny. Can you guess what I'm going to make?
Is it a paintbrush?
Oh, it is a paintbrush! Yes! Oh, nice! Nice guess. Even though it just looks like it's a little twine right here, but that is exactly it.
I was
Yes.
thinking cutlery for some
Yes, oh,
reason.
cutlery. Yes,
Well,
certainly
we
could
don't know
be.
what the theme of
That's
this little
right.
fairy
That's
door
right.
is.
But yes. So then I'm going to take my adhesive backed foil there, and I'm just going to literally wrap it along the top. Now, of course, my perspective and dimensions might be a little off, just because I'm trying to make things miniature using full life things. But the idea is that we can really make sure we can, make it look as realistic as possible. Now that that's adhered on there, now we can take our fingers and we can untwine this a little bit and kind of and splay that out.
Fence it out.
Okay. Then we can shape our paintbrush. So I want to make sure that there's a fine point tip on that. So I'm just going to take my scissors and just cut a finer point. And normally I would wet my fingers, but since my face is back here, I can't. But then we have our little tiny itty bitty little paintbrush. It's so small. It's so small. So now I can start opening this up and show you the other paintbrush that I did. This one I used a slightly larger skewer tip, and so then you can see the other one that I made. And so that one's just a little bit bigger. Isn't that so cute?
Cute.
I know, I just absolutely
Interesting idea.
Isn't that just so fun? The tiny little things. Well then, of course, if you have a paintbrush, you gotta have more tools than that. So, then, let's see, where's my other, oh, here's the rest of my.
I'm glad I made it here today.
Oh yes, of course. And then I'm gonna take, so sometimes when I'm trying to cut this down to a certain size, I have a hard time using my scissors, and sometimes the scissors are low quality. Where if you take your pair of pliers and it has a flat edge on it, you can take that and decide what size you want your next tool to be, and you can just break it right there, and that way you'll get a nice clean size.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I need some markers. Luckily, those are right in here. Nice heavy tools, easily accessible, ready to go.
Yes, you got right there.
Yes, everything is right there, right behind the curtain. All right, so we're gonna get out yellow and black. I'll have to find my little tool here. So the very first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna color the tip black. Now you guys must know what I'm creating at this point.
I don't.
And then yellow.
This is a pencil.
It is
Oh,
a pencil.
good, yes.
Yes.
Of course
Oh,
it
it's
is.
so tiny. Ah, it's a really
Cute,
fine point
cute, cute.
pencil. Now, of course, we need to do something for the eraser. So let's see if we have any
Oh
pink
my
paper
gosh.
over here.
Oh, that
I
is
don't.
fun.
That's okay. I do have a piece of white paper. Now, based off of the struggle that I had this morning, this morning I woke up because I had left all my miniatures out, and so I got up and I was like, was just roaring to go. I was right back at it as soon as I got up at like 7:30. I was like, oh, we're gonna make more miniatures, and so I was like the eraser part. So I took out a old pink eraser and I cut it out, and I was like trying to get it because I'm trying to work in. We're talking like a millimeter size here, trying to cut out an eraser. And I will say that I was struggling quite a bit. So that being said, we're gonna do things differently the way that I did this morning. So I'm gonna find a pink color for my eraser color. That's actually pretty close to what an actual eraser color is, which is great.
Yep.
And then I am just gonna put some glue right there on the top of that. And then I'm going to take this guy and I'm actually just going to fold this right in half because again, based off of the struggle that I had this morning, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to try and cut out this tiny itty bitty little circle again. It was just a little bit too complicated for what I wanted to accomplish today. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to fold that right over the top of my pencil. Oh my gosh, my glue, did it already dry? It might have. All right, I think that's probably gonna be close enough. Because you want it to look like that from a distance, right? All right, so I don't know if you guys can even see the tiniest little pencil in existence, but it's very, very little. But yeah, so there we have our itty bitty little pencil. And then I'm going to show you the other pencil that I created because then you can see the struggle that I had this morning. And I actually might go back and do this differently because now that I'm looking at this pencil, I actually like this one a little bit more.
I should go back and cover the
Yeah,
sides
so
of
this
it a
one,
little bit.
yes. And so this one, you can even see I cut out
Oh, yeah.
the tiniest little circle
Oh my
I possibly
goodness
could, and then I wrapped it around the sides. And in fact, I actually might do that right now because I think I like how that looks just a little bit more.
Yeah, this rolled around the end looks.
It looks a little better. Okay,
more
all right, not a
organic.
problem. We'll make that happen. I was just trying to come up with another way that didn't involve me having to cut out an actual eraser because like I said, I was
This
not.
is a used pencil.
Yes.
Yes. The lead is
Yes,
down
yes,
low.
the lid is
That's
down.
right, it's the used pencil. That's right.
Ready for the pencil sharpener.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Oh my gosh, I need a little pencil sharpener. Ah, so
Yes,
cute,
yes,
so
we're
cute,
gonna
so
come
cute.
up with that now.
All right, okay, so I've decided to color the top of this. I'm just gonna smash it down to see if I can make it kind of flat. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to. And I've colored this pink, so I'm gonna go around the outside edge here quickly before my glue dries. And we're just gonna take that and we're just gonna wrap it. Something about miniatures just makes my heart so happy.
I love miniatures,
Oh.
but I don't.
Oh.
My fingers are
It
not
can-
quite the same as they were
Yeah,
20 years
it
ago.
can be very hard to get in there and get all the little intricate areas. I've definitely struggled with that in my life too.
I am sorry, but it's 1 o'clock.
That's
and I
okay.
need to leave.
That's
Doggone it.
okay, Gretchen.
All right, well,
So
I'll
what's
place
gonna
it.
Could I
what's-
peek
So you
inside
come back
this?
again.
Yes, so what we have here, it says make art and not mischief. And then these are
Oh,
just
so it's
little
got
little
little
papers, and then a
art
tiny
things.
little spool of little twine that will just live in the top of here. And then we have
And
a
then
little
the
tiny
artist
paint
palette.
palette. Isn't that so cute? So we're
And
gonna
this
make
little
all of these
jar
today.
is cool. Okay,
Yes,
I
yes.
get the idea.
Yeah, and what will happen here is after demo is over, we always write up a little blog on our website. So you can go on and check our website later if you want to see all the things that we create, and you can see a little bit.
I can
Um,
see more of the
yes, more.
miniatures that you're
Yep,
making.
yep,
Okay.
absolutely. And you can see the full demo video that will be up there later too.
Maybe I'll see you at the bed.
Yeah,
Okay, yes.
wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks
I'm
for
glad
stopping
I
in.
already took care of these. So
Yes,
Bye-bye.
All right, so now we're gonna move to the tiny little paint palette. So I just decided, what I ended up doing was I actually had a paint palette here at the shop. And so I was like, well, I'll just mimic that shape. And so what you have here is this kind of almost boomerang-esque shape. And then we're gonna poke a hole on one side, because the idea is that you hold it the way that you hold it.
With the thumb.
Yep. And so we're gonna put our little hole here on one side of that. And then we're gonna take the skewer, and I'm actually just gonna poke this all the way through for the thumb hole. And so then you have your little paint palette that looks just like that.
You get that out so neat.
Yeah, well, I had to do a lot of testers before I got the right shape, because it was so off, and I was like, oh boy, that does not look quite right. Okay, so then I'll grab my water brush here. Oh, where's my water brush? There it is. And then, of course, since I want to make this a little paint palette, we have to actually put paint on it.
Yes, you do.
Yes, so we'll just start out with all our little colors here. And normally I have my, oh, I do have a spray bottle of water. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. It just makes my life so much easier. So all those colors will activate, so I can just go right into painting with them. There we go. All right, so we'll pick up some yellow. Probably a little ochre actually in there. Make it a little bit easier to see, and then we'll do orange. And then red. And might as well do some pink. And whoops, a little bit of purple. And then we'll do some blue. And finally we'll do some green. And then we'll do some little color mixing down here, like we're in the process of mixing colors, because I always love it when that happens. You kind of
Like it's being used.
like it's being used. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, when we might as well add that same color onto the tip of the paintbrush, so it looks like we're in the process of painting. Ah, so cute, so cute. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. It's just so cute. And then you're painting like little tiny painting time. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. For those of you watching, like, I can't even see it. It's okay. It's just so small. Ah. Oh my gosh. So I really wanted to create a miniature little craft room. So I thought that would just be so cute. So that's what we're going to do today here. So let's get out our little papers. And we're just going to cut out some fun little sheets of paper for our stash, our little craft supply stash. So we'll have our little blue, and then we'll pick some purple and blues. Might as well pick some different shades of the color here. And this one here. This is also a really great way to use up any scraps. I love making miniatures with scrap pieces that you might have laying around. It's just such a great way to use those up. Oh, I missed it. All right. And then we'll do like a little like paper supply up here on one little side here. We have our little drippings of paper maybe. Paper stash. And then let's see what else we'll have here. We wanted to do, so I have my little pencils, my little paintbrushes. Oh, okay, so I don't have them in stock right now, but we actually have a bunch of tiny little itty bitty vials coming. These tiny little itty bitty things, which are perfect for doing this. So one of the little things that we're going to do here, I'm going to pull this out of this so that I can actually show you. So this is cellophane. It's blue iridescent cellophane. And I just crinkle that up and I put it in the little vial.
Yes, for water.
For water! Yes! Ah! It's so cute. And then that way if it spills, it doesn't actually spill. But like, how cute is that? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It just makes me so happy. Okay, so then, of course, in our little, because we're making a tiny little craft room here, it's so fun if you have little things up that you're like in the process of painting, right?
Yes,
and so because of my little paintbrush, I don't know that it will actually paint a picture, so we're going to use a real water brush to actually paint our little picture here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to just use my browns here, and we're just going to paint like a cute little tree. Maybe I can do this tiny enough. It's just kind of fun to do little itty bitty things like this, you know?
Yes.
And there's our local artist here. She makes tiny, her Instagram is, I think it's called Tangled Pen, but she makes tiny little itty bitty little paintings and drawings and creations. And she actually gifted me one once, and it was so little. It wasn't much bigger than this, but that's what she loves to do, is she loves to paint things that are tiny. And there's something magical and really special about painting tiny things, and I just absolutely love it. I love it. All right.
Your scrolly tree.
Yes, my little scrolly tree. And then we're gonna do we'll just do a little moon up here. Okay. Oh, it's not perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then there we are. And I'm just gonna do some tiny little dots for just some like little sky, maybe some little stars or something. And then we're gonna do some little grass along the bottom here, I think. And then tiny little grasses. There we are. Perfect. All right. And so then this will be like what we're painting up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just glue that down.
Does it need a little easel behind it?
Oh, that would be so cute. Well, the thing is with this is that because it's gonna be so flat,
Yep, it's gonna be.
yeah, so I'm just gonna hang this up here as if I was standing here and doing my little painting. But yes, that actually would have been
Actually,
so
a couple of
perfect.
toothpicks would make an easel.
Oh, a couple little toothpicks. Oh, that would be so good. I've already glued it down, but that's okay.
You're done now.
For future though. But I just
Yeah.
love that idea. And then I need to have something that has my little paint palette in here. I want it to sit up a little bit. So I might actually just put something, let's see what I can create here. Maybe I'll create like a little L-shaped something just to hold my paint palette up. So we can like sit this right here, and maybe this will like sit on it, perhaps, is my thought. So I'm just gonna fold this forward. So I'm kind of making this kind of a shape. I don't know if you guys can even see that. It's kind of a little L shape that has like a little ledge on it. And so then I'm gonna glue this down here, just the bottom of that. I'm gonna put that down here at the bottom. And then our little paint palette can sit right on that. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this so much. And then we'll have our little jar of water. And I'm actually gonna stick that maybe, where do I want to put that? Oh, I'm gonna put that right next to the paint palette. I'm actually gonna glue that down because I don't want that to spill. I don't want it to spill. I'm just gonna tuck that right there, my little area. And then, since I have more little vials, this other little vial, we're gonna put all the little paintbrushes in
Yes,
it.
they have to stand in a little.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute and little. Oh, little things absolutely make my heart the most happy. I can't even help it. Oh no, if my paintbrushes are not gonna be able
Will they
to
stand
stay.
on the other side there?
Oh, I might have to just stick them and like have them kind of in me like sitting like this, because otherwise it won't close. That's the problem. Oh, I wish so much that had worked. Maybe what I'll do, this just is like totally unofficial, but I think what I'm actually going to do is actually trim my shelf.
And there you go.
And then that way I can stick them in there, and the brushes and all the pens and things can sit there, and they won't, and then they won't move. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I'm going to leave my used pencil out because maybe I'm making like a list or something. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Okay, so then we'll glue that little vial, and we'll just glue him. Oops, all my little brushes and everything are falling out. That's okay. I'm not going to glue those in there. We'll stick those in after the fact. All right, I'm going to stick that down. Oh, that's not sticking very well. I think I need another little piece of paper or something at the bottom. Maybe I'll make a box or make a stand.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything else I'm going to do? I think what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to make it so that it appears to be like a little drawer that maybe has like more art supplies in it.
Oh, yes.
That will be so cute. Hey Jay,
Yeah.
can you bring me the slicky pen?
Yeah.
Okay. So because I want this to kind of look a little bit more distressed, I'm just going to use my brown ink here. Thank you very much. Perfect. And then I'm also going to cut out another piece here. I'm going to fold this over a little bit. on either side. And then I'm going to just glue that down. So I'm actually going to make like a little drawer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I like when I first started demo today, I was like, well, let's see if I have enough ideas. And now I'm like, I'm not going to have enough time. I want to do all the things. Oh my gosh, I just get so excited. This is what happens when I make miniatures in real life. I'm just like, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to add this.
They
It
have a
is.
life of their own.
Yes, oh my gosh, definitely. Because it's just so much fun. And especially when we have the fairy doors for the kids to find, it's like, I love how they're all a little different, all the doors are a little different. And I have also found here at the shop that kids will actually they'll take treasures from one fairy door and bring them and deliver them to other little fairy doors.
Yes,
It
yes.
is,
They like to move things
they
around.
love to move things around. It is actually extremely cute. It just absolutely makes me so happy. Okay, so now I've made a little drawer, and I'm just gonna write on my little drawer, I'm gonna write art supplies in the tiniest little handwriting I possibly can. Okay, and then we're gonna stick our little vial on top of that. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect there. Whoops, I might have to glue that down just a little bit better, but that's okay. For the time being, this will be what I need. We have our pencil, and we have our little paintbrushes in here. Where's my paper? Oh my gosh, look how cute that is, Linda.
Oh, isn't that cute?
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, it's so sweet. Okay, so the last little thing we're gonna add in here is we're gonna make a little tiny, see that little piece of paper here? Actually, I have a few different things I wanna do here. All right, so we have our little art stash of paper up here next to our little spool of twine. So now what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna cut out this whole little strip of paper here. So this next little thing I do this, what I'm going to show you, I've done this a lot. So I'm going to cut this into 3 little pieces here, and I'm going to fold these in half. And you actually may have seen me do this already once before, but I'm going to make a little book.
Oh, yes. Yes, I thought maybe a book.
Yes. Well, I've got to do a little book
Yes.
to write down my art ideas for
Yes.
my tiny little fairy craft room here. Okay. All right, so I'm just trimming the sides so that they're all the same. And then since I guess I'm just gonna do a purple book here. So I need to cut this a little bit taller and a little bit wider than all the other ones. And then what I usually do is I start out and I fold it so that it's off center. And then I do the same thing on the other side so that it's off center. So then when you open it up, you get this kind of a thing.
The binding.
Okay. Yep, exactly. And then this is where the magic happens. You put hot glue right down the center of the binding. And then these are individual signatures that we're just tucking right in. So we do 1, 2, and 3. And it's so easy to stick those in there, and then I just hold that closed. And then I'm going to trim this down to size again because I realized my book was just a bit too big. And then to trim this, I got to make that flat. There we have it. And then I need to make sure my book is actually going to be short enough. And so then you can even take a moment. Oh, let's do it. And we're going to write art ideas. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Art ideas.
It has to be a fine pen.
It does. And the Slicky pen is really great for that because it is so fine point.
Yeah.
And then we'll say, painting, drawing, let's see, crafting. We'll just write some little things. Yeah. Okay, great. Perfect. All right. And then we have our little book, and we'll put that up here on our little shelf next to our little pencil. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now, since we're kind of getting, my timing today was kind of all over the place. The last thing we're going to do here is we're going to make one more little thing. Actually, there's 2 more things I want to do. As I keep thinking of things I wanted to show you. So one of those things is we'll do these. So it's always fun to write a little special note. So let's say special note. just for you. And we'll say, have a magical day. Yay! And then we'll cut that out. And whenever I'm rolling up a little scroll, I always start with like a little skewer or something, especially if it's lightweight paper. I roll it one way and then I open it up and I roll it the other way, and that makes it so it actually wants to roll in on itself.
Yes.
Then I'm going to take my twine here, and this is big old bulky twine, but when we unwind it, you have 3 little pieces of twine, and one of those is perfect for tying our little scroll.
Oh, just one.
Just one little
one ply.
one ply of that. Yes, yes. And so then you can take that, and we can just wrap that right up, and then we're going to trim this off. And then you can have your little scroll up here as well. So then you have your little scroll, and we have our little pencil and our little and our little book and our little bit of twine and our little mini art supplies. Oh my gosh, I'm just dying. It's so cute. All right, I'm gonna let you look at that, Linda.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna make one more thing here today with everything.
Okay.
Okay, so I've already shown you this little skewer. So now I'm gonna take this again, and I'm gonna use, this is a larger skewer, so there's a little tapered end on the end here. And I'm going to use my pliers just like before, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut that. Well, not cut it, but bend it. Now, what I'm going to do, on the bottom part here, I'm actually going to take my my twine, and I'm going to use 2 fingers. I'm just going to wrap this around a number of times. It kind of depends on how big you want this to be. So this is a nice size. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to trim this, and I'm going to cut these, so these are all going to be the same length. So I'm going to trim these in half, and then in half again. Okay, so we end up with little pieces that kind of look like this. I'm going to lay those out. Then I'm going to put hot glue along the bottom of this. So I'll right here just at the base of that, and then I'm just going to actually roll it across all of my bits of twine here. And so now all the little twine is sticking on the bottom.
Okay.
So you can probably figure out what it's going to be.
A little broom.
A little broom! So cute! And so I'm just going to push these all at the top so that they're all lined up perfectly at the top there. And then, because we have our little twines that we had kind of unwrapped just a moment ago, I'm going to find one of those, and with my, yeah, I am, but if you just do it just directly on there, if there's not, since it's the same color, there's not very much separation. So if you get another color, I'm going to grab like a brown marker, a darker brown, and I'm actually going to color this a little bit darker.
Yes.
So then that way it really stands out quite a bit more. And it's really fun. I kind of looked a little bit at some other real brooms before I made this because I wanted to make sure I got the look correct. And so then what I'm doing is I'm going to actually kind of flatten this out a little bit. And then we're going to wrap this around this way. And then we're going to tie a little knot. And this one too. And then we're going to tie that and just trim those down. And then at the bottom here, we're just going to make these all the same length here. And then you can leave it just as is, which is actually kind of cute, but I actually wanted to kind of splay those out a little bit. So I'm actually just going to use my fingernails here just because to make it look a little bit more full, a little bit more fibrous.
A little fatter.
Yep, a little fluffier. In fact, if I actually just took this, I'm just thinking if I just tried to sweep something up, that it probably would work. There we go. All right, so that's kind of cute. And then I'm also going to take my my marker here and just kind of do a little bit of coloring at the top of this here.
I always think of the Disney, what was it?
Yes,
The
yes,
Sorcerer's
you're
Apprentice.
talking about
The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
yeah, what was it? Disney 2000?
Yeah, anyway, it was Mickey Mouse. And,
Yes.
Yes.
Or was it
the
called
br-
Fantasia?
It was part of Fantasia.
Yeah, yes.
And the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yes, and how the brooms are
And the brooms
dancing.
started and they multiplied.
Yes, that's right. Oh my gosh, yes, I remember that from my
I have not
childhood.
seen it in years, but it
Oh.
makes me think of every time I see it.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yes, especially a kind of a broom kind of like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get out my little foil pieces from earlier, and I'm just going to cut another little strip. And this is just going to be for the top of the broom there. Just to kind of add just a little something extra, just kind of here and there.
Yep.
So I'm just going to add this right here at the top here.
Marble ferrule.
Yep, exactly. Now, I know traditionally it's meant to like hold everything in place, but I'm just gonna make it so it just looks, just to add something else to the broom.
Yes. More interest.
Yes, a little bit more interest, yeah. But I just thought that was just the cutest.
It is.
And so I'm going to show you the other broom that I made because I made 2 of them. This is the other little one that I did with the little knot at the top. But I just thought those were just the cutest little things. Now, of course, this one is not going to fit in my little apothecary here. But if you wanted to, if you were like cleaning up and you wanted to
Yes,
sweep
for
things up, you
sweeping up.
could. But I just thought those were really sweet. Okay, and then I have a tiny little sign here that I made last night. It says "Make art, not mischief," and it has a little thing on it.
Hanging plaque.
Yes, a little hanging plaque. And so because I wanted to do something kind of a similar idea, I'm going to take my little foil back adhesive. I'm going to lay it onto a piece of white cardstock, and then I'm actually going to cut that into a point. And then I'm going to just bend the back. Okay, so we actually are creating a little hook, and I'm actually just going to glue this.
Is that foil?
It's the foil with glue, just taped directly onto a piece of cardstock. And then I'm going to take this, and I think I'm actually just going to put this right here.
Yeah.
And then we can hang our little sign that says "Make art, not mischief." And now we have our tiny.
moved your little book up
Oh,
there.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. And so now we have our little scroll, our little pencil, which actually, let's be honest, the pencil probably should go away. Down here, we should put it away in its little
Yes,
vial
yeah,
here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So it doesn't get lost.
So it doesn't
I'd hate
get
for it to
lost.
fall over.
Exactly. I would hate for it to fall off too. And then we'll put our little note in there. And there we have our tiny little craft room. Oh my gosh, I'm just so tickled and pleased with that. So, and then we have a couple little tiny broomsticks because why not? So, all right, I think I'm going to end there for demo, and we're going to call it good. So, thank you for joining me today. Thanks for joining me today, friends. Have a fun day. We'll see you guys soon.